we're live now.
Got it.
Linda, when you see it, can you let me know?
Okay, I will. I'm on there now. I'm waiting for it to start.
Mm-hmm.
Says waiting for Zion.
Mm-hmm. Let me give Ron a call.
Yep, we are live. It's on.
Is it on? Let me try refreshing my screen then, because I there, but okay. Okay.
Live? Okay. All right. So let's give it a minute. I'm going to show the 101 course. Let me see. Y'all see the new course?
Yes, 101 instruction with Dr. Isapa.
Yeah.
Okay. Mhm.
That's for people who have lots and lots of money, because it's one-on-one.
Okay.
Okay.
So they would be paying for my time, and not the content, but for the time.
Now, Dr. Isapa, you know you are on live, so everything we're talking about is being heard right now.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But the course, that course is for people who not. Can
Okay.
you mute your YouTube, or is it
Yep.
me?
No, that was me. I just muted it.
Okay. Yeah, that course is for people who, let's say, they don't want to be in, like I have a friend, right, who doesn't want to be in the class because of their job, and they would prefer private instruction.
Okay.
So it's for people like that. But anyway, let's give it a minute. Let's see if Ron is going to come in. Let's give it a minute for him. Let's see. All right. Okay, so Shalawama, everyone. I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Today, we're going to talk about astrotheology. And so this is going to be part 1, episode 1. And I'm going to continue to do these until I get tired. So
That was the one. Okay. That's
yeah. And eventually this will be rolled up into a streaming course. So I'm not going to cover everything in this series because it's just too much. But we'll go through some stuff. Y'all understand what I'm saying, Jimmy and Linda?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so we're going to do it like that, and try to have it, make it fun. Then everybody can gain an understanding of what astrotheology is and what it means to you, and how it affects all of our lives. You know what I'm saying, Jimmy?
Yeah, absolutely. Once I heard the topic, I got so motivated. I cannot wait to see what you got up your sleeve today.
Yeah. So we're gonna do some reading and discussion. So and try to make this as understanding as possible, because this is very old piece of work that we're going to go through, and it's written in a way that's not easy to understand. But we're gonna go through it, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun. So I reached out to Ron, and he hasn't responded yet. So we're gonna go ahead and get started. All right, so everyone, this is the 101 Ancient Ivory-Ath course that you're looking at. This is a home study course where you can learn Ivory-Ath. This is our language. This is part of our heritage. This course is almost free, $10 a month. Okay, you can cancel anytime, and you're gonna learn your heritage. All things or everything, pictographs, the culture, the grammar, the Ivory-Ath word studies, the vocabulary. Now, when you scroll down, you can get the syllabus, okay? You'll get the syllabus, and I teach this course, and I do it in an enthusiastic way, so that it's not dry, right? So scroll down, click on subscribe. That'll get you access to $1 one-day trial. And you can take as many of the 113 videos and go through it all, if you know, as many as you can. Okay, and then after that, you're subscribed, right, for $10, which is basically free. So if you continue to scroll down, you'll see what's in the course. Okay, now this doesn't cover everything. There are 3 parts, but it gives you an idea. Okay. It gives you an idea. So let me get this back to where we are. So I'm going to start all of the videos off with this because I really want everybody to subscribe to this. You know, that's what I really want, because this gives the foundational information that people need in order to understand our language. So let's go and take a look at Jeremiah 8:8 in the Bible Hub to see why this is important. Linda or Jimmy, y'all can read this if y'all like.
I can go ahead and read it, but Dr. Yusuf, if I may add, you know, that Hebrew 101 course is, you know, I have it personally, and I think it's great information, and set up a lot of basic, especially for those of you who are out there feeling uncomfortable in the situation you are in, and you know, whether it's in the religion setting, it's in the camp setting, you're just feeling uncomfortable. Certain things you cannot understand, certain things just does not make sense, but you are being told you just have to accept it. Well, one of the key things that Dr. Yusuf with Zion Law School wants you to know, no, you do not have to accept it. There's another way of verifying. There's another way of knowing what you know to know it, and not just have to accept it. And that's what Zion Law School actually does. And with this basic program, if you're not sure whether you want to come to the classroom, but start with this basic program. And as Dr. Yusuf said, $1, you will try it, you know, for a whole day, as many of it as you can actually watch. But simply $10 per month, I personally have this, and I don't think I can really put a price tag on it, because it worth more than I could possibly afford for it. The information you're going to get will give you a different understanding. And I promise you this, you will never take a look at your Bible the same again. You will never listen to anybody speaking, preaching the same way again. That's I can say, I can guarantee that. Give it a shot. Give it a shot. That Ivory-Ath 101 is truly worth it. But back with you, Dr. Yusuf. You said we're going to read Jeremiah 8:8.
Yeah, let's read it from the Amplified version.
All right. And okay, it's the Amplified. All right. Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8. And again, this is the Amplified Bible version. How can you say we are wise, and the law of the Most High is with us, and we are learned in its language and teachings? Behold, the truth is that the lying pen of the scribes has made the law into a lie, a mere code of ceremonial observance.
Okay, and Jimmy, how does that apply to learning Ivory-Ath? our return to our heritage and understanding. Oh, go ahead.
I think it is that last part right there that brings it in. When he talks about being learned, let's go back here, being learned in its language and teachings. So a couple of things here. We said, how can you say we are wise? And how can you say that, the law of the Most High is with us? Okay, and we are learned in its languages and teaching. Behold, the truth is that the lying pen of the scribes has made the law into a lie. That tells us something. Jeremiah tells us something that is so important there, is when we look at our Bible, let's not forget it was translated. I didn't know that until I actually got to Zion Law School. I mean, well, I know it was translated, but I didn't really know the significance of what it actually means. It was translated. So what I did not know was that there were so many different versions of the Bible. I grew up knowing that, hey, if the Bible said, I believe it. But wait a minute, being that there's so many different versions, which version? But key thing is, Dr. Yusuf, I think the point you want to make here is that it is important, in order for us to know the law, that these scribes that Jeremiah is talking about, that has turned the word into a lie, who translate the Bible, well, to be able to know what is being said, it means going back to learn the language, knowing the grammar of the original language that it was written, so we can render it and know what it means. And again, that's why Zion Law School makes scholars and not just people studying Bibles.
Okay, excellent point. Excellent point. Linda, you have anything you want to add to it? Linda or Shalom or Ron? Y'all have anything y'all want to add to the discussion on Jeremiah 8:8?
Shalom.
Is Linda still here? I see Linda.
Yes, I'm here. Yes, sorry. Trying to unmute. Yes, I agree with what Jay said. Absolutely. There's a lot more to it.
Okay, so what's the significance of there being so many different versions? Like, we're looking at a bunch of different versions right now, right?
There's a feedback going on. I can't hear you.
I think it might be Ron. Ron, are you muted, Ron?
I am now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry, Dr. Masapa. Can you pose the question again? I had a hard time hearing you.
Yeah, what's the significance? Jimmy mentioned there's so many different translations, right? And
Right.
learning how to render. So what's the significance of that?
Learning how to render, well, there's so many different versions because they're rendered differently by a group, different sets of scholars. And so what we learn at Zion Law School is how that's done and how we can get back to the original, to the truth.
Yeah, and what's going to govern how they render from Ibriath to English? What governs that?
I think it's a few things, understanding grammar, understanding worldview, and things of that nature to render it accurately.
Mm-hmm. And what about one religion from the other?
Yes, and also one of the, I guess, driving forces of some of these renderings is religion and doctrine.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. Religion and doctrine. Okay. That's the key. We have to learn how to what? To see, to be able to identify what is the religion, what is the doctrine. Okay.
Exactly. And we're not coming from that point of view. We're just going back to the original, to what was originally said.
Very good. Excellent, excellent, excellent. So all of the tools and concepts that you'll need in order to be able to do this is in this comprehensive streaming self-study course. Okay, so let's get with the, let's get our document up. Give me 1 second, y'all. Okay, let's see if I can get this going. Anybody want to be the first reader? Now, the reading is going to be a bit challenging, y'all, because it's old time. So can we have someone begin? Let me see if I have to put this in. Let me see if I can put that, make it bigger. Anybody want to volunteer to begin us off?
I'll go ahead and kick it off.
Okay. 1 second, y'all. If I can put this in. Well, it's gonna have to be what it is right now. All right. Okay, Jimmy, let's start.
All right.
So this is, oh, I'm sorry. So now we're going to get into the astrotheology, and we're going to do some readings, okay? And try to look at this with an open mind. Try to keep your religion out of it and your doctrine out. And it's nothing spooky, okay? In this document, we're going to discuss just history. Okay, we're going to discuss history and some language concepts, some linguistics, all right? But it's going to be fun because it's interesting. Okay, Jimmy.
All right. Here we go. Where is he that is born King of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east and are come to worship him. Reference Matthew 2.
Verse 2. So this book, y'all, I forgot to mention, this book was written in the early 1800s. Okay, so continue, Jimmy.
All right. Who are the inquirers? The wise men of the east. Very well. Show them in here. And we will show these wise men of the east this mighty King of the Jews. The newborn omnipotence, the little baby God.
Okay.
Hark the herald angels sing. Glory to the newborn King. Peace on earth and mercy mild. God and sinners reconciled. Joyful, all ye nations, rise. Join the triumph of the skies. With the angelic hosts proclaim. Christ is born in Bethlehem. And these wise men were come from the east to worship him. I only beg leave to think I see them at it. I only ask. Probably gonna need you to scroll down. There we go. Where are we?
Right here.
I only ask to be permitted to imagine that such a scene really occurred, and to imagine what your impressions as well as mine would have been had we been specters of it. Speculators, thank you. If we had we been speculators of it, if such a scene really occurred on earth, like every other real occurrence, it must admit of being imagined to have occurred. And even they who require us to surrender our reason should at least leave us the exercise of our imagination, so that we may have some part of our minds left and not be out of our mind. Out and out. For 'tis rather riding us hard of our Christian divines to require us to believe that as true, which they themselves do not only not know to be true, but dare not trust themselves or anybody else so much as to imagine to be true. The mind's exclusive faculty is found to be as great a rebel against faith as its reason.
Let's look up exclusive. Give me 1 second.
Mhm.
This is old time words, right? Exclusive. Let me share the screen. Okay, Jimmy.
All right, exclusive.
No, oh, wait. That's not the word. I think I typed in the wrong word. It should be exclusive, right?
Exclusive, yes, sir.
Yeah. Well, I typed in the wrong word. Exclusive. Why y'all so quiet? Let's talk so we don't have
Well, I'll tell you for one,
silence between.
the language is very tough. I feel that it's old. We don't talk like that anymore.
Okay, here's our definition. Because with the video, yeah, we should talk, make it interesting for people, conversational type of stuff, y'all. So exclusive. Go ahead, Jimmy, please.
All right. Exclusive. It's an adjective of given to, chapterized by. I'm getting that.
There's feedback.
Mhm. All right. Here we go. All right. So exclusive, adjective of given to, chapterized by, or having the nature of digression.
Going backwards, right?
Mhm.
Deterioration. Okay, continue.
Chapterized by, or having the nature of digression. Prone to, number 2, prone to make exclusions, wandering, roving, exploring. Number 3, tending to digress.
Okay.
What do you guys make out of that?
Let's read digress first.
All right, digress. It is an intransitive verb. To turn aside, especially to depart temporarily from the main subject in writing or speaking. Stray, synonym, swerve. Number 2, to step or turn aside, to deviate, to swerve, especially to turn aside from the main subject of attention. Of course, or course of argument in writing or speaking. Number 3, to turn aside from the right path, to transgress, to offend.
Okay, now let's go back to the document and apply the meaning. So here we are, exclusive. The mind's exclusive faculty is found to be as great a rebel against faith as its reason. So the reasoning aspect of the mind, right? So Jimmy, so this is a complicated read, right?
Yes, it is.
So how are you interpreting
So
this
the
sentence?
mind divert. I like the word divert because then you're leaving something, right,
Mm-hmm.
to another, right? So the mind divert. Where are we here? Let me get back into that.
Right here.
All right. The mind's exclusive faculty is found to be as great a rebel against faith. All right. So if I'm understanding correctly here, is like if we question this, then it would be going against faith. Then you would
Yes.
consider a rebel. I see. So it cannot be questioned. Okay. So the mind exclusive faculty is found to be as great a rebel against faith as its reason. So there's no reasoning. To be a Christian.
Wait, hold on, Jimmy, please. Hey, Ron, what are you seeing, Ron?
Well, for me and my interpretation of this is you have to be out of your mind. That's how I interpret it, but that's just me.
Okay, good, great. Linda, what are you seeing? I'm mute, Linda.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, I actually agree with Ron.
Okay, excellent.
Your mind. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so the mind's ability to distract itself, right? Or let's go back and look at these words. Okay, see, to distract itself temporarily, go someplace else than what you should be on, right?
Okay.
To deviate from the topic, okay? To transgress, offend. So yeah, I agree with everything everybody's saying. The mind will turn aside, ignore, block out, right? And if y'all disagree, feel free to say so. So the mind's ability to do everything we just said is found to be as great a rebel against faith, right? In other words, remember up here, he said you need to believe. So believing is faith. Believing and knowing are different, right?
Exercising our imagination. So basically, if we see an imagination, believe it.
Yes. So your mind's ability to distract itself, get off on another topic, right, is just a rebel against religious doctrine, as is reason. Y'all follow me? So your reason can free you from it, but your mind's ability to ignore it can also free you from it, right? Because it's when you get caught up with the imagination, now you're trapped in the doctrine. At least that's the way I'm seeing it. You're finished once you get trapped up. Okay, let's continue. If y'all want to discuss this, feel free to, or we continue.
Let's continue to see what they're building on it, unless you guys have something else to say. But I want to see what's coming.
Okay.
Let's continue. It looks like it's about to get interesting.
All right. To be a Christian, indeed, you must lay aside the use of your minds altogether. Can I read that again?
Sure.
To be a Christian, indeed, you must lay aside the use of your minds altogether. For the facts of the gospel are of such a mysterious nature that they will not bear to be reasoned on, but they will not bear to be thought on. If I understand correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, to be a Christian, you must lay aside the use of your mind. In other words, you can't think for yourself. You have to be programmed, in other words. Whatever you're told, that's it. For the facts of the gospel are of such a mysterious nature. That does remind me when I was younger. I had a lot of questions growing up in a Christian family. There's a lot of questions. And you were told you just have to have faith because the things of the Most High are mysterious. and are only revealed to those of his choosing.
Mhm.
Which correlates or goes side to side with what I'm reading here. Now at least it makes sense to me. That's what the expectation is.
And it's almost like too, when they tell you that, you feel special, right? Because you feel like the deity is revealing something to you.
Absolutely.
You know. Okay, so let's continue.
Wow. And we're over here. For the facts of the gospel are of such a mysterious nature that they will not merely not bear to be reasoned on, but they will not bear to be thought on. You may believe that it is true. You may make believe that it is true. You may say that it is true. You may swear that it is true. But the moment you begin to think that it is true, you will find yourself within half an inch of thinking that it is false. That one hit it right in the head. That nail hit it right in the head. And because of the way we were programmed, so it's like you convince yourself to accept it. You convince yourself that it's true. Wow.
Sounds like brainwashing.
Yeah, I can relate to this myself, my own experience. I can really relate to it.
Ron, what's your thought on that, brother? That one I think is deep right there.
Yeah, I mean, people believe in what they don't know. And I'm in agreement. Yeah, I'm in agreement.
Mm-hmm. Because that the question comes up is how, right? How does someone walk on water? How does someone float up into the clouds?
I think it's a misinterpretation, though. I think originally when it was written, it was the sun that they saw walking over the water. Mm-hmm. The sun going over the water, and not literally, the son. Allegedly. Mm-hmm. So, but
yeah, those are the type of things that we're dealing with. The astrotheology. So the sun, the Christ being the sun, right? And then the walking on the water is the sun reflection. So, and then how they do exactly what you said, Ron, how they translate it to be something that's literal. Okay, so let's continue.
All right, that is false. So that there is really no other way of believing the gospel than that in which the Archbishop of Dublin believed the 39, 39 articles, that is, taking them in the lump and so believing without thinking. The sanctity, the seriousness, the charm are gone the moment you begin to let in daylight on the gospel, on the gospel theater, by imagining that its person or its personage had a real existence, and its incidents and historical occurrence. Who are these wise men? Come from the east to say their prayers to a little scrolling God, a mighty, sucking his thumb as fast as he could suck.
So I think the point here of this paragraph is people should start thinking, start using their thinking ability. And that's the way to free yourself from this mental bondage. I think that's what the author is saying. What do you think, Linda?
I agree. It sounds like brainwashing, like you're not able to think for yourself.
Okay, so, and also note we have a reference from an archbishop. We have a reference from an archbishop. So the key takeaway or the key message in this paragraph, I think, is use your thinking ability. Okay, and I don't get the impression that the author is trying to force readers to believe one thing or another, at least not at this point. I think he's emphasizing the need to start thinking. And if you do start thinking, you won't believe this stuff anymore. I think that's what his message is. Anybody else have anything on that?
I agree with that because it says there further up where it says you may believe that it is true, you may make believe that it is true. Oh goodness, I was looking for the, okay, here it is, sorry. It says you will find yourself within half an inch of thinking that it is false. So that's pretty much what he's saying. If you start thinking and using those faculties, you'll start questioning what you've been told.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Linda, let's start with the next paragraph.
Okay. And when they were come into the house, they saw the young child with Mary, his mama. But it does not say what Mary, his mama, was doing to the child. But it says that the wise men fell down. But then again, it does not say what it was that knocked them down. Only it immediately informs us that they brought out some frankincense, which could be of, frankincense, which could be of no other use than to sweeten the apartment, the stable. I should say, for we are never to forget that our blessed Savior was born in a stable, as the angels told the shepherds, quote, the heavenly baby you there shall find, to human view displayed, all meanly wrapped in dirty rags and in a manger laid.
Okay, so it was born in a stable. That's where animals live, right?
Right.
So that was a filthy place.
Yeah.
So it should have had a very bad smell.
Okay.
So they brought in frankincense to make it smell better, to hide the smell.
Okay. Makes sense.
Right. And I was always curious about why would the son of the deity be born in such low circumstances and in filth?
Well,
Think about it. You go into a barn, let's say horses. Can you imagine how that smells?
Yeah. Yeah. But religion, you believe that it was for the sole purpose of showing you him taking the role of a servant, so that we can then follow and be humble and also take the role of servants.
Mm-hmm. And what? And then Jimmy, what?
But
Oh, go ahead,
doesn't the story go that they were fleeing? So it was like they were hiding there.
Yes, and they couldn't find a room.
Right.
That's how they ended up in the stable.
So if they couldn't find a room, they were there because they couldn't find a room.
I believe the way the story went, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ron. I think Harold, was it?
Yeah, Harold. Yeah.
Harold, yeah. So he was killing the firstborns.
Correct.
And so that's why they had to flee.
Oh, go ahead, Ron.
No, I was saying that's why I believe they ended up, in a place like that.
Okay, okay,
I mean,
okay.
but you wouldn't think that, that's the Most High Son, that, you could find a better place.
Yeah.
But like Jimmy, like like Jimmy said, you know, they want to have that humility, servant, you know.
Because he could have hid in somebody's house that was clean, or could have been anything. But why amongst animals with feces and filth, and the baby's clothes are dirty? It looks like dishonorable. But for me, for me to do that to my own child, right? So, could you do that to your own child? Have them be born in a barn with animals and feces. As a man, you see what I'm saying, Ron and Jimmy?
Never thought about it like that, but you're right.
It would have been tough, but when you also think of the agenda behind it, the whole agenda behind it, to subdue. So if I sell your story like, hey, you got to humble yourself, and not to say that humbling is a bad thing, with reason and when to, but if my agenda is to subdue you, take over, take your land, take everything you have, I'm going to give you a story how this great king, this powerful king, let his son be born in such a low manner. So you too can take that role. You too can do that, because later on he's going to be glorified, because later on you too will be glorified. So I think it goes hand in hand with the agenda.
Yep, I agree with you 100%. Y'all, let me turn the recording on. I forgot to turn the recording on.
Just to piggyback off of what Jim says, it's kind of like they want us who like, they want the people that are raised in poverty and struggle to relate to this baby who was born in struggle. If you think about it in that sense, he's very relatable. He's one of us.
Linda, I got a question for you as a woman.
Yes.
As a woman, because women give birth. How would you feel about, let's say, a man, and you're pregnant, and he wants you to go into a stable and have the baby, and all you got is dirty clothes? How would you feel about him?
Well, if it's in modern times, I would be pretty pissed off, because, there's potential for infection here. You know what I mean? It's not a sanitary environment at all to bring a child in. That puts my life and the child's life at risk. But when I think about in those times, supposedly, there were a lot of luxuries they were not afforded, so.
I'm not saying you're wrong, but according to who? How do we know that? That's only what they say, right? That has to believe that, one has to believe in evolution.
That's true.
Right. But the record shows that those societies were more advanced than now.
And we were. Makes sense. That's true.
Y'all see what I'm trying to say?
Okay.
Absolutely.
That's a different perception. Okay. So they had the I mean, yeah, I'd be pissed off. I feel like this man is putting my child's life and my life in danger.
Yeah. So I think this is what the author is getting at, thinking, putting yourself in the situation, right? What are we assuming or presuming? And then how would I see it if it were me? The critical thinking aspect of it. So yeah, a lot of these ancient societies were very, very advanced, and there's a lot of facts that say that their technologies were better than ours. you know. You got anything, Ron, or you want to continue?
No, continue. I mean, I totally agree. I mean, they had running water, and if you look at the pyramids and things of that nature, we still can't build that today. You know, those structures like they did. You know, like that they have. So, yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right, great. Linda, let's continue.
Okay. Indeed, one would be utterly at a loss to guess in what the wisdom of the wise men consisted, unless it had been that they anticipated that the heavenly baby might have such a heavenly smell about him as would have rendered a little frankincense or aromatic vinegar very refreshing. And they worshiped him. The wise men worshiped him. What sort of worship wise men would be likely to pay to a newborn child might be easier guessed at than told, only it was not very wise of them to open their treasures and present unto him gifts, gold, frankincense, and myrrh, when a happorth or lollipop and some bull's eyes and sugar plums would have suited his royal highness so much better and have been quite sufficient to have ensured their own everlasting salvation. But somehow or other, the wise men have always contrived it that salvation should never be cheap. And however little of the profit may go to this deity help him. His vicegerents and ministers take pretty good care of that. If you want to go worshiping, you must open your treasures.
Okay, so can you put this in your own words? Explain it to the audience.
Can I pass it? There's a lot going on in this paragraph.
Okay, Ron, do you want to handle it, Ron?
Yeah, you have to give your 10%. You know, you have to pay your tithes and give your 10%. That's what they were doing. I mean, I never quite thought about it like this before, but yeah, when I mean, from a practical sense, why would they have to do that? You know, doesn't sound too wise. You know, but it's showing, I think, as we pointed out before, you know, what they want us to do, and that's to give our money and our resources and riches over to, you know, whatever deity or entity it may be. You know, kind of like Christmas. Kind of like Christmas. Everybody, you know, wants gifts. You know.
Yeah, Jimmy, walk us through, Jimmy, the thinking part of it in terms of what a baby would like. You know, what does the baby prefer, frankincense and treasures, or does he prefer something sweet like a lollipop to make the baby happy?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting that the author pointed that out. You know, why the frankincense? Why? What does that have to do with the baby? I think that's the religious part of it, to make it more, I guess, to give it some kind of religious or spiritual significance, when in reality, yes, that child would probably be better off with a little pacifier, or hey, how about some milk? How about some milk? Something like that would actually work for the baby. So what you know, was it really beneficial to the baby? Perhaps not, but you did point out something that was pretty good, was the smell that was there. Yeah, it would make sense that it might be important for them, more them than the baby. You know, it's probably not in touch with its sense of smell yet. You know, it might make more sense for them than the baby, but the baby itself, yeah, would have would have been better off with a pacifier and being kept warm, especially it was supposed to be cold and they were in a major. There was no heat. I think perhaps heat would have probably been the most important thing for that child at that moment. That's called what, hyperthermia or something, right? So I think the heat would have probably been more important. But again, to drive the story, that's why it goes. But we read the story and never really paid attention to those little details, because we in a way has been conditioned and also force ourselves to, just like the author said in the beginning here, to think a certain way. And when we try to deviate and try to reason with it, we feel bad about ourselves, and we convince ourselves to look at it the way we were told and just believe, have faith.
And this is also interesting too. The whole point was of the Christ figure is salvation, right? So if you want to make the Christ figure happy, like you said, give him a pacifier, give him something that he can use and be happy about. The baby doesn't care anything about these things. That was an excellent point, Jimmy. So I think this is really excellent, the way we're going through this, analyzing it the way we're doing. And I'm pretty sure, like you guys have said, most people who listen to this have probably never asked the questions or thought about this story the way we're doing right now.
Yeah. If I may share just a little something personal, I specifically remember having some doubt at some point. Certain things just did not make much sense to me, especially after I had read this text. I believe it was in Exodus, where the Most High spoke, said, "Hear, O Yisrael, I, the Most High, your power is one." That bothered me some. And when you had small kids that you were responsible for leading within those religious setting, church settings, I remember being asked that question. So what was the difference between the Father and the Son? So you tried to explain. I don't know if any of you guys have ever been in that position, trying to explain to a child, well, it is one. The Father is the Son is the Father, but it's still two different individuals. Then you hear yourself saying that, but they're kids. There are kids. You try to convince them. You try to show them that you're confident about what you're saying. You know what you're saying. They just don't understand it. They gotta understand it. At some point, they will understand it. But you yourself, in back of your mind, you're like, man, that just did not make any sense. But then again, you convince yourself to believe it, and just like what it says, even when you start thinking, you are deviated. That was the word, deviated, to stay on target, which is the target to point the whole agenda.
Excellent. I like this point too. He says the wise men have always contrived it that salvation should never be cheap. Salvation should never be cheap. So religion, particularly the one I used to be in, they get you for they didn't tithe, but you're however much you're going to volunteer every month, and then what you put in the donation box when you go there, right? Then your time, because you got to go out and in what they call the field ministry, you know what I mean? So you're going out, passing out their products, trying to convince people to come into the organization to help them grow, right? So they take so much of your resources, right? Federal Reserve notes and time and effort. And then if you got to go to the meetings, or maybe you have a role at the meetings, you got to prepare. These religions will drain you. Wow. Right? That's what I'm thinking. And it said, and notice this part, it says, and however little of the prophet may go to the deity. So the deity is not getting anything, right?
Wow.
His vicegerents and ministers take pretty good care of that, right? They're getting all the money. If you want to go worshiping, you must open up your treasures. Your time, your money, your effort, your energy, right? I thought that was very interesting. Okay, Ron, you want to go next?
Sure. Okay. I'm here. All right. And being warned of the deity in a dream that they should not return unto Herod, they departed into their own country another way. However, these wise men found their way to Bethlehem. It is admitted that they dreamed their way back again. But sure, they could never have dreamed that the king of the Jews, who ought to have been born in a palace, should be so superfluous in his humility as to suffer himself to be born in a stable, and thus while he was taking upon.
So let's look up superfluous. So those people who may not know what that means, let's look that one up. Let me share my screen. Oops. Okay, Ron. You there, Ron?
Oh, I thought I hit unmute.
Oh, okay.
Superfluous. Exceedingly what is sufficient or necessary. Extra, not needing. Unnecessary.
So how would that apply according to this author? Unnecessary humility. That's the way I interpret that. You're gonna be born, born in a barn. Is that necessary? That level of, how humble, I guess it's obvious, right? I don't need to.
Yeah. But I think they were making the point that they were fleeing from Herod. So that's where they had to, according to the story. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But if you're the Most High's child, you'd think the Most High would have better, accommodations. So.
Right, definitely. Because we wouldn't do that to our own child. Okay, so let's continue.
All right. Himself, the nature of man, rendering it very doubtful whether he was not at the same time going to take on himself the nature of a horse. For the good Christians who believe that our blessed Savior was both Most High and man can have no right to quarrel with me for carrying my faith a little bit further than theirs in believing, as I most sincerely do, that he was both man and horse, to which most true faith I am led, not merely by the most natural suspicion attaching to the circumstances of his having been born in a stable, as where else should a horse be born, but not to make any sort of play on words or to strain.
Hey Ron, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can you read again from here because your microphone was cutting off?
Okay, I'm sorry about that. All right. To which most true faith I am led, not merely by the most natural suspicion attaching to the circumstances of his having been born in a stable, as where else should a horse be born, but not to make any sort of play on words or to strain any phrases. To strain any phrase, whatever from its obvious sense, which I would not for the world, not to build on the certainty of the fact that he had no human father, that the angel spoke of him to the mare, or Mary, his mother, not as the holy baby or holy child, but as the holy thing that should be born of her. I appeal to the whole angelic chorus, to the multitude of the heavenly host who appeared to the shepherds keeping watch over their flock by night, in ratification of all express definition, that which no words can be more express. Unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the power, and this shall be a sign. Now the key of the whole mystery lies in the single phrase.
Excuse me, Ron. Can you summarize the pertinent points for the audience, because this is kind of complicated reading. So can you kind of take us through it for the audience who may need some assistance with it, please?
Yeah, the author is saying, yeah, the author is saying, horses and animals, things of that, but specifically a horse is born in a stable, not necessarily a child or a man, a child or a man, typically, so it has references to, I think, astrology, I think during that time period. But for this specific, because we haven't read that far yet, I believe. So for this text here, it's saying horses and animals are born in stables, not children.
Okay, and it reads, he himself, the nature of a man, right? Rendering it very doubtful whether he was not at the same time going to take on himself the nature of a horse. So here we have a man horse, and he's developing it further. For those good Christians who believe that our blessed Savior was both capital G-O-D and man, okay? So this is alluding to Father, Son, that Jimmy mentioned, right? Right. So if you can make that stretch, remember, Jimmy, how you said you were talking to your child and you said, well, that don't sound right, right? If you can make that stretch, okay, he continues, can have no right to quarrel with me for carrying my faith a little bit further than theirs, and believing, as I most sincerely do, that he was both man and horse. And Ron, you're exactly right with what you said earlier. He was both man and horse. That's the point that I would like for the audience to take away from this. The Christ figure is said to be both man and horse. Okay, and he's going to develop this as we go. But given that he's man and horse, born in a stable, to who? Y'all see that? The highlight?
Yeah.
To a mare. A mare.
A mare is a horse, right?
Yes, correct.
Or Mary, his mother. Okay, all right. Okay, so Ron, let's continue with the sign. So we're considering what the sign is. Okay, let's continue, please.
All right. Now the key of the whole mystery lies in that single phrase. That's hard for me to see.
It's Greek. I haven't been able to find this, but that's one thing I'm working on, y'all. There's a lot of Greek in here. And it's the original Greek, not the stuff the Greek that you see in the New Testament, a lot of that stuff has been changed to cover over the original Greek. Okay, let's continue on.
Okay. And this to you shall be the sign. This is the Savior, which is Christ. The power shall be a sign. The false punctuation of our English Testament, contrived as much as possible to lead the people into error and keep them in it, would make it seem that the sign had meant no more than a signal or token that the angel's testimony was correct, and that that token was that they should find a baby wrapped in swaddling cloths and lying in a manger, in which a dog in a manger might have known better. For not so ordinarily and indifferent a circumstances as a frail young woman running away from her home, as she might have reason enough to do, and being brought to bed in the best lodges that could be hired for nothing, was the sign, which would have been a sign of nothing else than that the young woman had not been so prudent as she ought to have been, but Christ himself, the Savior, which is Christ the power, was the sign, and that the sign was to be seen in the city of David. Now there are but 12 signs in the city of David. And if among them you will look for the sign of the month of November, the season upon which we are now entering, you will find that the sign actually is Sagittarius with his bow and arrow.
Half man, half horse.
Yeah. Uttering the two natures in his own person. That is not the two natures of the deity in man, but the two natures of man and horse, being down to the lions in the human form. Being down to the loins in human form, but all of the rest of a horse, so that the creed of Saint Athenas ought to have run, that as the reasonable soul and flesh is one man, so man and horse is one Christ. Perfect man and perfect horse of a reasonable soul and human flesh, subsisting, who for us men and for our salvation came down from heaven. And it is precisely when the Son is coming down from heaven that he appears in the sign of the man and the horse, and was born in a stable, which gives us the true astrological explanation, where I defy and wit of man to give any other explanation of the prophecy of Simeon in the second of Luke. Behold this child. Child says our fraudulent English translation, but the devil, a word about a child, is there in the original, or anything hath so childish, but is my eyes, hold on.
Hey, so scholars, when we come across the Greek, let's just say, but it is, and then say Greek.
All right.
And then pick up the English, okay?
It got so small that I started squinting it. So, okay. All right. But it is Greek. All right. Behold, that is this thing, amoeba.
That's like a thingamajig, right? Like a thingamajig, like that.
Right. This half man and half horse, this Sagittarius, is set for the fall and rising again in Israel. and for a sign which shall be spoken again. Greek. This is, he shall be one of the adverse signs, one of the signs of the winter months, the sign of the month November, when many in Israel, that is, the many stars that make up this constellation, sink below the horizon and do not rise again, nor appear in the holy city till after the resurrection, that is, after the sun, having passed through the humiliation of the wintry state in November, December, January, and February, appears as the Lamb of the Most High crossing the line of the equator in March, where having overcome the sharpness of death, he opens the.
So let's have a discussion before we move on for our audience, or at least a recap of what we're reading here. Ron, if you want to pass it, you can pass it. It's up to you.
No, I think I got it. Pretty much what the author is saying is that, the month in which, JC was born, was the month of November. And what actually was happening was, it's really, I'm not going to say allegory. I don't think that's the right thing, but November really is the mark of Sagittarius, which is half man, half horse.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So instead of the story literally happening, it was more so, ushering in that month or that constellation or that period, of Sagittarius, more so being born, coming about, as opposed to, the Christ figure being born, actually born.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they derive the story of, it being born in, JC being born in a manger, the horse.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Very good. Excellent. And this Saint Athanaeus? Well, no, not Athanaeus. What is this? Saint Athanasius. He is the one who says that the Christ figure is what? Man and horse. So that the creed of Saint, so the creed is the religion, right, or the belief of Saint Athanasius ought to have run that as the reasonable soul and flesh is one man, so man and horse is one Christ. And they're hiding that from people, right? That's the idea here. And can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, let's see. Perfect man and perfect horse. So only the Christ figure is perfect. Perfect man, perfect horse. Of a reasonable soul and human flesh, subsisting who for us men and for our salvation. So Christ figure came down from heaven. So again, confirmation Christ figure. And it is precisely when the sun, you want to pick it up from there, Ron?
Okay. And it is precisely when the sun is coming down from the heaven that he appears in the sign of the man and the horse, and was born in a stable, which gives us the true and astrological explanation, where I defy the wit of man to give any other explanation of the prophecy of Simeon in the 2nd of Luke. Okay, so basically what they're saying is the story evolved from astrology, or the sign. That's how the story came about.
Mm-hmm.
of the Christ figure, when really it was really the ushering in of the month of November, November, December, that that particular time frame.
Okay, so very good. So in Simeon and Second Luke, the way I'm understanding this is child is not in the original. Okay, but the original Greek, which is here, reads as follows. Y'all see the highlight?
I can see it, but small.
You want to read the highlight, Ron? That's what I'm getting from this.
Okay.
This child is what we see in the current versions, but it's not in the original Greek. They took the original Greek out, which is here, which is the highlight. You want to read it, Ron?
All right. Behold, this that is, this thing amoeba, this half man and half horse, this Sagittarius, is set for all the fall and rising again in many in Israel, and a sign which shall be spoken again, Greek, that is, he shall be one of the adverse signs, one of the signs of the winter months, the sign of the month of November, when many in Israel, that is, the many stars that make up this constellation, sink below the horizon and do not rise again nor appear in the holy city until after his resurrection, that is, after the sun having passed through the humiliations of the wintry state. In November, December, January, and February appears the Lamb of the Most High crossing the line of the equator in March, where having overcome the sharpness of death, he opens the...
Okay, you want to give any commentary? Or anybody want to give any commentary on what we're reading here?
Let me go ahead and just add briefly, just in case any of the audience have questions. It looks like Sagittarius, the month that they have it set up for is November 22nd through December 21st. And from December 22nd to January 19th, that's when you have the Capricorn. I just wanted to put that out there, only because I can imagine somebody listening to us and may say, well, wait a minute, well, you are wrong because, you know, Christ was born in December 25th, so that's not the Sagittarius. But I think it did mention that, and it did mention that for November, December, January, and February, which is what we know as the winter month, winter month, which is around the same time again that the Christ figure was born. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, and then also Jimmy, later on, we're going to deal with December 25th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, which will further clarify the Sagittarius thing. But what I would like for our listeners, our audience to keep in mind is that Saint Athanasius, or however you pronounce it, made the statement that the Christ figure was a horse, half man, half horse, right? And also these other statements, and that the original Greek says that the Christ figure is half man, half horse, right? Or Sagittarius. And as you said, Jimmy, November, December, January, February, the sun goes down below the equator, you know, from where we are, and winter becomes dominant. That's the humiliation, right? Winter becomes dominant. Summer, the sun is dominant. So winter is dominating the sun. That's why it's called a humiliation. Okay.
And you talk about the Sagittarius, it just hit me. There is a text, I forgot where it is. It says, I guess, maybe the book of Revelation, where the JC figure will return on a horse with bow and arrow, which described to me that very same Sagittarius figure here.
Oh yeah, I'm going to show it. I'm going to show it.
Okay.
So the adverse sign is Sagittarius because it's telling us winter is coming. And then what happens in winter, y'all? How does life change in winter?
Everything is dead.
Everything's dead, hard to eat, right?
Mhm.
You don't have the food that you would like to have, you know, it's cold, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything is dead. No bees on the trees, and barely want to go out. It's freezing.
So let's see if we can find the image of Sagittarius. Let me put Jesus Christ in. Maybe I spelled it wrong. Jesus Christ came to die. Let's see. He set his face toward Jerusalem. Okay, in Sagittarius, we see the beginning of the fulfillment of that original plan. Hold on. Let me look for it. It might be faster just to look for images. Yeah, y'all see it here?
Mm-hmm.
Jesus Christ as Sagittarius. This is probably shocking to some people, man. Here's another one. Jesus Christ Sagittarius.
Hey, you got my mind tripping out a little bit here, because you figure Mary gave birth. She was said to be a virgin. So he, Christ figure did not have an earthly father. And yet he came out half man, half horse.
Yeah, and Mary Mare.
Yeah.
I found better pictures in the past of the Christ figure as a, why is it not, let me, oh, I know, Google. We go to Google. Okay, Sagittarius, maybe I'm spelling it wrong.
Sagittarius. SAGI.
I gotta move this thing out of the way, okay.
Yeah, it should be TTARIUS.
How is it spelled?
SAGITTARIUS.
Okay. Let's see if we can find some better ones, better images. What is this? Okay, so that's the Christ figure in the zodiac circle. Okay, so that's not what we want. Let's go back. Why everybody so silent?
Well, this is pretty revealing as we look up and see those pictures. I never put that together as far as the zodiacs with the Christ figure. So this is very interesting.
Yeah, there was a time where I could come and find literally pictures of the Christ figure, half man, half horse. And I don't see it, no. Can someone else also do a search? It would be really nice. It would be really good if we could find a really good picture. So here's a picture. Now this is very interesting how the Christ figure comes back on a horse in Revelations, right?
Mhm.
Sagittarius is like a cover up, right? I mean, if you know this, you know what that means. But if you don't know it, you think he's coming back on a horse. Y'all follow what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's going back on a horse.
Very interesting.
Bow and arrow.
With the bow and arrow, yeah. Sagittarius. Oh man. Okay, so I don't see anything good, but I know they exist because I've seen them.
Yeah, the consolation tale of Christ. Yeah.
Okay, let's see.
Brought us to this right here. Okay. So,
Maybe if I just do Christ. Do y'all think it's good enough, y'all, or just move forward or try to find something?
I think
I think this is good.
what has been made.
Let's continue digging because this is very interesting.
Linda, so do you mean continue looking at images or go back to the document? What do you want me to do?
No, I was thinking that we can continue breaking down the document.
Okay, okay. All right, so let me leave this alone. Okay.
Yeah, I found one that says Jesus in a rapture, but actually, yeah, raptor. Yeah.
All right. Oh, I know. Just one thing, Lynn, and then I'll go back. Okay. I just got an idea.
No problem.
No, it's 1G.
1G. Not bad.
Yeah, here we go. Solar mythology and the Jesus story is a latest installation of the sun visits through the fluid. So the last person Jesus sees.
Let's see. Let's see. I don't see anything interesting, or at least not worth reading, but so let me just look at the images. If y'all see something, let me know. What is going on? With my, what happened? Okay, let me move. I got like this menu bar that's blocking my view. So
It moved it. There we go.
all right, so I still don't see anything. I wonder what this says. No, it's nothing. Okay, so I'll go back now. All right, I'll go back now. Wait a minute, we finished that page, yeah. So that should be clear, right? What we did, everybody should understand that, what we just read through. I think we did a good job on that. Hold on. Let me see, where are we? All right, let me find out where we're at. Okay, so it says crossing appears, okay, so having passed through the humiliation of the wintry state in November, December, January, February, appears as the Lamb of the capital God crossing the line in the equator in March.
Dr. Stop.
Having overcome the sharpness of death, he opens
You gotta share the document. We're not seeing it.
Kingdom, huh? Oh, okay.
Share the document.
He opens the kingdom of heaven to all believers. So I remember when I was involved in religion, March is when they did the memorial of the Christ figure's death.
That was what we know
March.
as they call in modern day religion Easter or Passover.
Yep.
Yeah, between March and April.
Thus giving us the meaning again and be imagined of those words of Saint Matthew that quote, the earth did quake. And this is what always got me, y'all. Now, I understand now. The earth did quake and the rocks rent and the graves were open and many bodies of the
Dr. Isapa, you came in and out. Look like we may have lost him. Oh, let's give him a minute to get back on. But that is extremely interesting. In religion, I know they talk.
Y'all hear me?
Okay, now we
Can
can.
y'all hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Fade it out.
Hear me?
Yeah, it's sounding kind of muffled, but yeah.
Hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry about that. I don't know what happened, y'all. Let me share my screen. So let me go through it again. All right. Did y'all hear me when I was talking about what I didn't understand when I used to be involved in religion?
No, you faded out right after that.
Okay, so I'll read it again. Okay, so thanks, Ron, thus giving us the meaning again, where no other meaning can be imagined, of those words of Saint Matthew that quote, the earth did quake, the rocks rent, and the graves were open, and many bodies of the saints which slept arose. They arose and came out of the graves after his resurrection and went into the holy city and appeared unto many. Now remember, the holy city, in this case, this is the 12 signs of the astrology, right? The 12 signs of, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so yes, so thank you. So the holy city are the 12 zodiac signs, right? So what we're focusing on here is the sun beginning in November starts to descend. Okay, so if you look at, if you look up high in the sky, right? And then look down toward the equator and then go below the equator. So the sun begins to descend in November, December, January, February, right? It's already below the equator and it begins to ascend upward in March. Okay, that's when it's talking about here, the earth did quake and the rocks rent and the graves were open and many bodies of the saints which slept arose and came out of the graves after that's Christ's resurrection. So resurrection is what? Coming back above, right? Okay, so let's continue. Linda, do you want to read? Any questions about that? Questions or comments about that? Or is that pretty straightforward?
I think it's pretty straightforward for me and pretty understanding.
Likewise.
Yes, talking about heavenly bodies, right? And the path of the sun. So the sun going in November beginning to go down. Then eventually it goes below the equator. So when it goes down below the equator, that's the death. When it comes back up, that's the resurrection of the sun, right? And I used to wonder, I didn't know no better in Christianity. How is it that, these dead people come up out of the ground when the Christ figure died, right? And there's not supposed to be a resurrection yet, according to the doctrine that we were in. Y'all know what I mean?
Yes, the resurrection was.
How are these dead people being released out of the grave? Okay, so there's supposed to be a first resurrection and a second resurrection. That always confused me.
Well, JC has the keys.
Yeah, and then but what happened to the dead people, right? When they rose, where did they go? There's no more mention of them. So I was always confused about that. Okay, so who wants to read now? Linda, you wanna go, or?
Oh.
Jimmy? Okay.
Let's see. Can't see.
Yeah, just say the Greek text or something like that.
Oh, okay. The Greek text, the saints, in the proper significancy of that word, never having meant any persons that ever existed upon the earth, but referring only to the stars of heaven, or the holy ones of this deity, as the holy city, and as the city of David, and the city of this deity, and the Jerusalem, in which all these fallings and risings again, these crucifixions, resurrections, and ascensions, than which no language of astronomy could possibly be more astronomical, do all of them usually occur, was no Jerusalem, no city, no place on earth but Jerusalem, which is above.
Yeah, so it's annually. So all of these annually occur. Christ gets crucified, resurrected, and then he ascends.
Annually. It's
annually. Yes, very good. Okay, let's continue, Linda.
Okay. As the apostle expressly admonishes us in these words to the Colossians, set your affections on things above, not on things on earth. That is, set your understanding and apprehensions on the great principles of astronomical science, and do not be so stupid as to suppose that JC and his apostles were persons that ever existed upon earth.
You know what's funny? I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm sorry I was that stupid person because I was into this stuff for decades, okay? 30 plus years.
Hey, it's okay. I mean, I could sit here and quote songs that tells you how it's better to be poor, how it's better to go through hell here because the resurrection, what is above, worth more than what is here.
Right.
So you're thinking of abstract and take the focus completely out of concrete. As a result, our ancestors gave up all our powers to follow these false deities. Hence the reason why we are living in the situations that we are. Instead of waking up and standing saying, look, no more of this. That's how you got us brainwashed, and returning to obedience, we continue to call on these false deities and hoping that they're going to come and save us.
Excellent point. Excellent point. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Linda, but what do y'all want to discuss further, or you want to continue reading? Linda, it's up to you.
We can continue reading if everyone.
Okay, I think you're here.
Where was I? Okay. And as again to the Philippines,
Philippians.
Philippians, more Greek.
Philippians chapter 3, verse 20.
Okay.
Greek, quoting from the Greek, original Greek.
For our conversation is in the heavens. That is most explicitly this whole affair of which we speak and preach, and which is called gospel, has no reference at all to any persons that ever existed or events that ever occurred upon earth. But it is astronomical. It is all to be seen and is all exhibited in the visible heavens, as the great Albertus has expressly said. All the mysteries of the incarnation of our Savior Christ, in all the circumstance of his marvelous life, from his conception to his ascension, are to be traced out in the constellation and are figured in the stars.
Okay, so this. Go ahead. I'll wait. Go ahead. Somebody had a comment?
No.
Oh, okay. So this is a quote by the great Albertus. So the author is quoting Christian church fathers, right? He's quoting them, and who would know better? Okay. So those of you who might watch this video, don't think it's Dr. Yasafa or anybody here making flippant statements, but this information is coming from the church fathers or significant people involved in the Christianity. Okay. You have any comments you want to get regarding this, Linda?
No, I passed the commentary. My allergies have something like that.
Can you say it again?
I can pass the commentary.
Okay. So I'm very
well, when I look at this,
mhm.
when I say as the apostle expressly admonishes us in these words to the Colossians, set your affections on things above, not on things on earth. So to me, I look at that as a direct violation of Exodus 24. You know, don't worship
definitely
any images above, you know. So I mean that's what I take that as when I look at Exodus, 20 verse 4. You know.
Oh, very good point. Very good point.
Very good point, Ron. It takes us right back again to the agenda, taking our focus away what the Most High has given us. As a result, we give up the things that they have given us because we are now looking forward, just like it says here, above for abstract things. In the meantime, they take what the Most High has given us that we now deem has no value because we figure that what's out there or what's to come has more value. They take those things, they use it against us, again, to continue to oppress us.
Excellent. Let me just read this. Go ahead, Jimmy. I thought you were done.
And I'm done.
So I'm going to go ahead and read. Can someone, since my microphone, I guess, is not acting right, I'm going to go out and come back in, but could someone first read Philippians chapter 3, verse 20 here from the Greek, please?
All right. Philippians chapter 3, verse 20, Greek text. For our conversation is in the heavens. That is, most explicitly, this whole affair of which we speak and preach, and which is called gospel, has no reference at all to any person that ever existed or event that ever occurred upon earth. But it is astronomical. It is all to be seen and is all exhibited in the visible heavens. As the great Albertus has expressly said, all the mysteries of the incarnations of our Savior Christ and all the circumstances of his marvelous life, from his conception to his ascension, are to be traced out in the constellations and are figured in the stars. And there are in the heavenly Jerusalem, and only there, are Bethlehem, the horse of breed. That is, the tent of the Virgin of August, in which Christ is conceived, and all the Bethanias, Beth Shemites, and Bethels, in which every one of the imagined events of your gospel, not excepting one, have their own astronomical significance, and which, escaping the decrement of vulgar and uncurious ignorance, have been stupidly mistaken for historical facts, just as a fool who has but seen the diagram and delineations of the elements of lucid Euclid will make himself dead sure that all the mathematics in the world could have consisted in nothing more than in making hopscotches and cat gallowers and scratch cradles to play at tic-tac-toe with.
So I think what he said here is that they were confused. Euclid is a famous mathematician, right? They would confuse his work, right? In the same way that these believers are confusing things with these events being historical and actually being people. It's like a comparison, right? If you think that what Euclid did is a bunch of hopscotch, right, and scribble scrabble, I think that's a comparison. You want to continue, Rob?
Sure. While our Christian clergy of the present day, either they're most ignorant or they're most deceitful of the whole human race, have played into the fool's game, have pandered to the passions of barbarous ignorance, and found that the swinish multitudes would be quite as well satisfied with the shells and hulls of science as the kernel. And so the tale was but bloody enough, and monstrous enough, impossible to have happen, and inconceivable to be conceived that they would ever endanger the power of the clergy by seeking to be wise above what is written. Thus, the clergy have laid the bars of a fraudulently pretended historical evidence across the path of knowledge, and I wish those that have been only bars that they had laid. But here, sirs, minds will be used to you. Here I ask you, not as a newborn baby, to desire the sincere milk of the world, but I call upon you as full-grown men to hold me to the depth of supplying you with the solid intelligence feast of the meaning, in which I ask no sensible man's assent from his favor, but will challenge it from his conviction, and not a man who hath the intelligent craving of a man, but shall rise from this feast to tread the fetters of superstition and ignorance under his feet, and only to wonder how.
Y'all want to stop here or keep going? I think we've been at it two hours. Has it been 2 hours? Yeah, about 2 hours we've been at
I think this is a good place to stop.
it.
That's just me. That's just me. That's just me.
Linda, Jimmy,
I agree.
okay. All right, so let's see. I don't know. I'm trying to see how. Hold on. Give me 1 second, y'all.
I'd like to sum up what Ron just read though before we stop.
Okay. You want to go ahead and do it? Or go back to the document?
Yeah, go back.
Yeah, definitely.
Go back to the document? Okay.
Yeah, go back to the document.
All right. Let me pull it up. Okay. So here we see, before you do that,
Hold on, Ron, mute your mic when we unmute it when you're gonna speak.
Okay, got it.
so here we're starting to see the emergence of what I always refer to as the dark priesthood or the black priesthood. Okay, these clergymen. Okay. That was all I wanted to say, Jimmy. But
Well, it was also very interesting because as we came across some names like Albertus, the other name up there, can I pronounce it? Euclid.
mm-hmm.
You can kind of consider those guys scholars, and I think we had found a couple of other ones previously who had some significant quotes here. So you look at these guys like scholar, like that Lucret guy, as we mentioned, was a mathematician,
Mm-hmm.
and I correlate this with Jeremiah 8:8, which we begin the session with. So you got these scholars that literally has these significant quotes calling out what the world has now accepted. And but realizing that people don't really pay attention to. I mean, how many people? That's the first time I've seen this document. I mean, I don't know about you, Ron, or Linda, if you guys have heard or seen this document. That's the first time I've seen this document. But you have some names of guys who we can say are world-renowned scholars who have some significant quotes. That, to me, that's a big takeaway for me on what we've covered tonight.
They hide this stuff. Excellent, excellent. This is hidden. Christianity falls apart if people knew this. Thus the clergy have laid the bars of a fraudulent, pretended historical evidence across the path of knowledge. That's dark priesthood, right? That's the dark priesthood, the black priesthood, okay? All right. Let me see. Okay, and here's another quote that's kind of nice. Here I ask you not, as newborn babes, right? That's what they're saying in the scriptures, newborn babes, right? Here I ask you not as newborn babes to desire the sincere milk of the word, but I call upon you as full-grown men. Remember, thinking, start thinking, to hold me to the debt of supplying you with the solid intellectual feast of the meaning. So in other words, the author is saying, as a man, as a full-grown man with full thinking ability, expect for me to provide you with evidence, facts and evidence to prove what I'm saying. In which, so here we are, in which I ask no sensible man's assent from his favor, but will challenge it from his conviction, okay? But will challenge it from his conviction. In other words, the facts and evidence he's going to present is sufficient to start to get you to think or to question your convictions, your religious beliefs, right? He's not asking us to believe anything, right? But to consider the evidence and the facts. and not a man who hath intellectual cravings of a man, but shall rise from this feast, the feast of facts and evidence that he's providing on the topic, to trend the fetters of superstition. In other words, to break the mental bondage, get you out of religion. Okay, superstition and ignorance. Okay, so that's what he's talking about. I want to eat something, y'all. I'm tired.
Wow.
I want to go eat.
That a problem thing we've covered quite a bit. I don't know if anybody else have anything to add. Wow.
So what do y'all think about what we covered, and especially in terms of how people might view this when they if they come across this knowledge or this video?
Well, I think first people have to think, and indoctrination is strong, So I think some people may be offended, because it's what they've been taught their entire lives by people, who they hold in high. It's tradition, So and they've been taught this. My grandmother wouldn't lie to me. My uncle, my father, my mom, they wouldn't lie to me, regarding this. So you're going count, and not just that, it's everything that you've, seen, in the media and in through movies and whatever, growing up in this society that pushes that narrative. So you're going against all of that, So, and people generally don't like to think. It's challenging.
Yeah.
And it's not socially acceptable in terms of what we're talking about.
You have any ideas or thoughts you want, last thoughts you want to get across, or?
Well, if I may say, Ed, Ron is absolutely right. People just really need to think, and just do not be afraid. It comes down to this is your life, your responsibility, to understand what is it that you are believing in. And I'm sure as we continue through this document, we've noted a couple of contradictions. Example, Ron, you had mentioned from the book of Exodus, idols and stuff like that. As we go through these documents, people will literally start to see some of the contradictions. And those are contradictions that people may have seen, but have chosen, again, it's a choice, have chosen to overlook, has chosen to say, to just accept it. I just think it's just too important to just accept. We have to be able to identify, we have to be able to compare and contrast, we have to be able to dig, we have to be able to research like we are doing right now. Look at the other document. People has been so conditioned in a way that anything that goes against what they believe, they don't even want to take the time to listen. Some people actually will give it a benefit of the doubt. Well, let me hear what you got to say. Let me hear it. Then I'll take it and I'll go weigh it. But some people just don't even want to listen. I just personally think it's too important not to. And I think that's where Zion Law School comes in, to give you that opportunity to learn for yourself how to look at these documents, how to view these documents. I mean, we're just reviewing a document here. We didn't do an intense study like we normally do with our documents, looking up every word. And this is for time's sake. But that's your opportunity to be able to learn that for yourself. It's not, okay, we are not living in a time where my grandmother, who did not know how to read or write, In her defense, she did not know how to read or write. So therefore, she had no choice but to go sit there and listen to a reverend, listen to a pastor, listen to doctrination, and be consumed by that. But you, who actually knows how to read and you know how to write, but yet you still find yourself going to sit, giving that 10% and believing in something that you cannot even truly, honestly explain. You just choose to accept it because whether it came to you in a time of weakness where maybe you were down in your face and you needed something to reach out to, you needed something to believe in, so you claimed to that, you held it, and it may have worked for you at that time. So therefore, it worked that time. I do not question it, even though 1,000 times later it didn't work. But the few times it works, that's what you're calling it. So therefore, you don't question it. You're choosing, and that's the key word. You're choosing to believe this. Here you have an opportunity to be able to look at it, and those doubts, that little voice in your head that questions certain things that you push away. I did it. I know I did. To look at it and review it. Study it for yourself. Then, if you still choose to believe it, at the very least, back it up. That's what I have to say, Dr. Isaba.
Okay, excellent, excellent.
Thank
You have any closing remarks? That was excellent, Jimmy and Ron. Linda, you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I would definitely say to do the opposite of what the beginning of the article, what we went over, like start thinking for yourself. Because once you start using those faculties and you read through this stuff, you'll start to see the truth.
Okay.
So I think it's important for us to reason and to think for ourselves.
Okay, excellent, excellent. I really enjoyed the text that we went through today, everyone. I mean, I really, really enjoyed it. You know, when I read through this, y'all, it reminds me of myself, and you know, just how, you know, that all those decades, all those years rather, you know, that I went through, that gave so much of myself and my energy, and you know, took a lot of crap from a lot of people. I regret now, because I thought that you know, you're trying to be a good Christian and all of that stuff, and only to look up and see that it was a very poor usage of my time, money, energy, and effort. But I'm grateful now that I was able to get through that, you know, and I came out better, you know, more educated, more mentally strong, emotionally okay. Because I met a lot of people, y'all. I mean, that would be, you know, what would be a good topic to talk about: the people who have been emotionally abused, and especially those who've been abused so much that it really affected their life or their personality, right? In a really, really negative way. That might be a good discussion to have, because I knew many people who that happened to in the religion that I was in. I mean, they were messed up, right? Because in that religion, if you do something that they consider wrong, or if you get accused of something that they consider wrong, your family won't talk to you, your friends won't talk to you, right? If you're working for somebody in the religion, you're likely to get fired. Y'all see what I'm saying? So with all of these terrible things happening to you, you know, maybe a person can get stressed to the point where, let's say, they have a propensity toward schizophrenia. That might trigger schizophrenia, right? Or maybe they turn to drugs and alcohol, or promiscuity, completely destroy people's lives to the point where they can't recover, or it takes them 15, 20 years to recover. All due to religion, right? Particularly, I'm only talking about Christianity, the one I was in, you know, because I have a lot of knowledge of that. And I read articles, watched videos about the religion that I used to be in, about children being sexually molested and it being covered over since the 1990s. But this same religion, when the Catholic Church was being exposed, they were handing it to the Catholic Church, right? But the same thing was going on in that religion, but they covered it up, right? And they talked mad trash about the Catholic Church. I mean, wrote all kinds of terrible articles, but then they're doing the same and covering it up. So, but this is what happens when we turn our minds off. You know?
Condition, they got us good.
Yeah, they got us good. Okay, so I guess the silence means we agreed to go. When y'all want to do this again?
You tell me. It's what's up.
So everybody enjoyed y'all enjoyed it?
Yeah,
Yes,
I enjoyed it.
it was really
So
good.
what about you, Linda?
Absolutely, yes, very informative.
Okay, so how about next time we do this is just an idea. Maybe we can talk about it in class. But y'all want to do it tomorrow and we can have a call in? So let's say we do just like we did today, and we have a call-in number, and somebody can call in. They can say whatever they want to say. Y'all want to do that, or y'all want to keep it the way it is now?
I don't mind a call in.
Now,
Ryan, Jimmy?
I generally would not mind the call in. We would just probably have to weigh it to see whether or not it may make more sense for us to go through the document, and then towards the end of the document, we then open it up for the call-ins, because call-ins may take us away from really thoroughly going through that document, because we're gonna be caught we're gonna find ourselves into other topics and not getting through that document. But I think towards the end of the document, a call-in would be ideal, because then chances are some of the things that, you know, callers may call about may have already been answered as we go through the document.
Okay, Ron?
I thought.
Yeah, I agree with Jimmy. You know, let's focus on the document, getting through it.
Okay. So y'all want to do this again tomorrow?
I don't know about tomorrow.
Okay, when you're free, Ron?
Tomorrow's already today.
Oh, yeah. So let's go ahead and schedule it so we can have it on this video and people can know, and then I'll schedule it on the so we can do it now and not have to return to it. When y'all want to do this again? What day?
It's for me, it's all gonna be in the time. Anytime in the evening, nighttime, usually is good for me.
What about you, Linda?
Same. Today would be fine for me.
Okay, so Ron?
In the evening today, we can do it.
Evening would be 8 or 9 or
Yeah, around 8 or 9.
That should be fine.
Linda, so 8 o'clock, is that okay? Or 7 o'clock, what do y'all want? Or 9 o'clock?
9 o'clock sounds good for me.
Yeah, 9 o'clock for me as well, only because I'll actually be at work and when I'm joining it.
Okay, so I think Ron, you said 8 or 9, right? So
Yeah,
okay,
that's
so we'll do 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock tomorrow. We'll be back.
Tonight.
Dr. Isapa, before you go,
Yeah.
we did get two messages in the chat. If you don't mind, I'll go ahead and read it.
Okay.
Both from the same person. We have Awakened Greatness with Prince David. I am so thankful to know that JC is a myth. I am so done with being lied to. I am so done with that religion. All praise to the Creator for truth. I am glad I found this live stream tonight. We are glad that you were able to participate, and we thank you for participating. As Dr. Isaba mentioned, we will be back tomorrow, tonight.
Yeah, also subscribe, and thank you for the comment. And see, the comments are really powerful, because people who may be in the same situation as you, and I'm speaking to the person who wrote that comment that you just read, they might be very, very encouraged to read what you wrote, and it just might be what they needed to hear to help them get over the hump or get to the next level. You know, so thank you for that comment, because it's going to help somebody. And I'm also glad that this is helping you too. So make sure you all subscribe and like the video, and also share it. Jimmy, does anyone else want to make a comment about that comment? Or give any encouragement to the person who did that comment? That's a big step.
It is like this. But you know, if I just may say, you know, for anybody who's listening to this right now, whether you are on the live or maybe listening to it, you know, the recording at some other time, this is really not easy. This is really not easy. I mean, years conditioned to believe something. What was that word Dr. Isapa used? Cognitive
Cognitive dissonance.
Dissonance. It is a process that you're going to be going through. I've been through it. As you go to well, first acceptance. You have to accept, wow, okay, I've been lied to. Then it comes to now rebuilding. And you know, you gotta be very cautious. And this is where Zion Law School comes in. You know, making sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and sharing the video is very important. But I also encourage the Hebrew self-study course. That's a great foundation. It's going to give you the basic. And even through this channel that you were looking, go through the videos that Dr. Isapa has posted. And I personally am recommending going back to a video called Genesis chapter 1 and chapter 2, as well as I believe 1 John. It is a long video, it's 2 parts, but it is well worth it. Between the Hebrew self-study course 101, Ancient Ibriac, and putting some time in, it's about a little over 6 hours in that video to really watch it from beginning. I mean, we could tell you exactly where to go for the good parts, but I think really watch it from beginning, you get best of both worlds. You get to see both point of views. And I think that is very important, fundamental, structuring, setting up the foundation to really rebuild, because you are going through a broken process, and you can't rebuild unless it is broken. And the brokenness is not going to be easy. And when you really understand this and you start moving forward and you start building from this, you may lose a few friends. You may lose family members who may not want to talk to you, because the conditioning into these false deities, into these religions is so deep. It may take time. Truth of the matter is, focus on the truth. Focus on the truth. And now you can say you have something, a foundation or something that you can cling into to say, okay, at least I have where to start. I was in that position where I had certain questions, grew up in the church, father is a preacher, the whole nine. And when you came across this type of information that you can verify, you can prove, it's very difficult for people to understand that, because people are choosing, and we said this a couple of times tonight, this is a choice. People are choosing to believe the lies. People are choosing this because it makes them feel better. It gives them comfort. It gives them hope instead of facing the facts for what they are. And then recognizing who you are. That's when the changes really started happening. I'm sorry, Dr. Isaba, if I went a little bit too far ahead, but just wanted to explain that somebody may just needed to hear that.
Yeah, it's okay. It's good. It's good. Hey, Jimmy, can you read the next comment, please?
Yeah, I did. I am glad I found this live stream tonight. Yeah,
Okay,
so the same individual who wrote both.
Okay, excellent.
We did have a Nikita Phyllis. I actually had invited her to watch. She didn't leave a comment other than just her name. I know there's a couple of people too who speak Haitian Creole that may not understand every bit of what was said. Look at it, watch it again, and you will be able to pick it up.
Yes. All right, scholars, thanks for joining me and participating in this. And so everybody, when you hear this video, make sure you go and subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibriath, okay? It's almost free. 10 notes per month to subscribe, cancel anytime. All right, with that, I'm going to say I'm out. I'm Dr. Yasapa. Shalawama.
Shalawama.
Shalom.